China has welcomed a ruling from the World Trade Organization faulting the United States tariffs. Beijing says the decision proves Washington has been breaking international trade rules. The tariffs were imposed on Chinese goods worth $200 billion in 2018. The US says they were justified as China was stealing intellectual property and forcing technology transfers. But the WTO says the US has not provided enough proof. Those tariffs marked the beginning of the trade war.
Well, then we'll have to do something about the WTO because they've let China get away with murder. They consider China to be a developing nation. And by as a developing nation, as that, did this just happen, Steve? Just happened? All right. Well, we'll take a look at that. But I'm not a big fan of the WTO. That I can tell you right now. Maybe they did us a big favor.
Simon Marks joins us now from the US capital, Washington, D.C. Simon, we just heard the US president speak, so we know what he thinks about the situation. Is the US then likely to appeal this decision?
Well, it's interesting when he says there, Steve, maybe they did us a big favour. I think what he means is that they have put themselves at the WTO in a position to be more of a target for his ire over the next 48 days or so as we head towards America's presidential election. The US has 60 days to decide whether to appeal this decision. There is no official word on that, but we did get a statement after the president spoke from Robert Lighthizer, the US trade representative, who said the panel report confirms what the Trump administration has been saying for 4 years. The WTO is completely inadequate to stop China's harmful technology practices. He said the United States must be allowed to defend itself against unfair trading practices, and the Trump administration will not let China use the WTO to take advantage of American workers, businesses, farmers and ranchers. So using very similar language about the WTO to what the United States used to say about the WHO, the World Health Organization, from which, of course, Donald Trump pulled US membership a few weeks ago. 60 days left to appeal. No official word yet from the government as to whether they will.
Simon, do you see this affecting efforts to perhaps maybe restart trade talks then?
Look, President Trump has been very dismissive over the last few weeks of his desire to pursue another round of trade talks with the Chinese right now. And that issue seems to be dead until after the US presidential election, regardless of who wins. It does not look as though President Trump will restart those negotiations this side of America's date with political destiny on November the 3rd. He might seek to do it on the other side of the election if he wins, or this will simply fall into the hands of Joe Biden to have to deal with from the end of January of next year onwards after he is sworn in as America's president. But right now, absolutely no movement on that. And on the part of the Trump administration specifically, no desire for any movement over the next 45 days.
All right, thanks very much for that update. Simon Marks speaking to us from Washington, D.C.